From the smash of whiskey tumblers to the roar of granite on ice, the sound of curling has resonated through this community for over 100 years. But for how much longer would they hear its roar? In the deep south of New Zealand, Central Otago is the last place in the world that still upholds the traditions of outdoor curling.
New Zealand and Central Otago in particular is possibly the last bastion of outdoor curling that I know of in the world.
It's something we hold on to dearly for that very reason, that if we don't uphold those old traditions, they'll be gone forever.
"12,000 miles away from its Scottish origins, the ancient game of curling has been preserved.
I think because we are way out here in this bit of a wilderness and miles away from any other areas, we've kept our traditional curling here longer than any other country.
'From the Baxter's Cup to the Bonspiel, the grand curling matches of Central Otago bring the whole community together and have them yearning for the long, cold months of winter. The harsh winters of Central Otago made it the perfect place for curling to thrive. But a changing climate and a changing world is threatening to silence the roaring game. The heart of curling is Naseby, and residents have one thing on their minds.
We've got 5 clubs in Naseby with a population of 100 people, so it's what we do in Naseby is we curl.
The Baxter's Cup, New Zealand's oldest sporting trophy, and Naseby's most treasured prize. There are a few ponds large enough to hold it, and the ice has to be strong enough to bear the weight of more than 130 competitors, plus their stones, a load of nearly 17 tons. The only pond suitable for such an event is maintained by Jock, and he has dedicated the best part of his life to the task.
I'm quite happy to put the effort in here to prepare a surface of ice that basically preserves our traditional side of curling. We have got the indoor curling or the Olympic style curling here in Naseby, so it's important that we look after our traditional side of it as well.
But softer winters are forcing him to adapt his pond this year.
He is working on a new way of building the ice.
The idea is just to sit the ice down on the base
and just sort of flooding it and then let that freeze and flood it some more and build the ice up from below.
Main thing's the levels. Once he gets that trimmed up, we'll be right.
But it'll be a lot stronger and you'll probably allow us to curl on a lot less ice.
Jock's obsession with curling isn't uncommon in Naseby.
Some people say that it's not actually a sport but an incurable disease.
It used to be that the day that curling was called, everyone dropped everything. And there were a lot of grandmothers and aunties that took seriously ill or died when there was a bit of curling on. So that same auntie or grandmother may die the next year. Depends on what the ice is like.
My ex-wife reckoned that if she'd died in the curling season, she'd have been dragged into a shady spot and left there till the curling was over.
As the autumn colours transform Naseby, Jock's Pond preparations gather pace. But the warm weather is causing problems.
We've got to get rid of the growing weed because it becomes a problem, mainly because a growing plant initially gives off oxygen and creates bubbles. It causes a weakness in the ice. If the weed actually protrudes above the ice, it becomes a problem to keeping the surface right.
Although the Baxter's Cup can only be played on a natural pond like Jock's, some believed a modern curling facility was also needed in Naseby to secure the future of the sport.
Righto then, Owen, I'll leave you to do your polishing and see you later in the season.
Local stone polisher Owen has seen how the modern convenience has affected the spontaneity of the game.
With the indoor rink, you can go down and curl every day of the week through the year, because the temperature inside's the same every day. Whereas here, you've only got a short frame. You might only have a few weeks here curling on the outdoor ice compared with the indoor ice.
Olympic curler Sean Becker understands what controlled ice conditions have meant for the sport.
It's mainly because of the ice conditions. They've designed the ice for indoor curling, I suppose you could say, whereas outdoor curling, well, you're at the natural elements really at the end of the day. Maybe as the climate got warmer, they moved indoors or they built facilities that they could curl in.
The perfect indoor ice surface is fashioned by an ice maker. Hot water droplets are sprayed on the ice and frozen to create a pebbled surface. By sweeping, indoor curlers can melt the pebble and alter the stone's path, which allows it to travel further and straighter.
We've been playing a catch-up game really with the rest of the world for the last 20 years. Because New Zealand was an island nation and the Scots brought it out sort of the 1860s. The game never evolved, it stayed exactly the same way as the traditional game always was played in Scotland and is still played in New Zealand today, whereas every other country in the world the game evolved. There's those wee idiosyncrasies that are still part of the sport in New Zealand that the rest of the world has lost.
Maintaining the unique traditions of outdoor curling is of utmost importance to its preservation.
Yeah, there's quite a few rules.
Telephone's a definite no-no when you're out curling.
You don't swear or cuss or anything on the ice.
There's quite a lot of etiquette and rules that say there's absolutely no titles allowed on the ice. So if Sir Richard Hadley came along and wanted to curl with us, he'd become Richard, and that would be that. You obey your skip at all times. If he tells you that you've played a good stone and he tells you to go and have a drink with your offside person, you've got to go.
And every stone that is thrown is a good stone. There's never a bad stone thrown.
You throw a good stone, you go straight into the shed there and send for a drink, or outside curling you see you send for a drink.
But you've got to drink your beer fairly quick because sometimes it'll freeze.
And hopefully if you put it down right, it won't end up on its handle. Because if it ends up after you throw it on its handle, that's a bottle of whiskey.
Admittedly, it can be carried to the extreme, but not often.
May fades into June. Winter seems a long way off as the country endures the warmest June in living memory.
Oh, crikey. I've never known it. Like this morning, it's nearly the shortest day. And look at it. And they're panicking up in Queenstown. No snow.
Undeterred by the warm weather, Owen is still taking orders for stones to be polished, and for a bottle of rum, he's happy to oblige. Unlike the modern game, outdoor curling stones have two playing surfaces.
There's a fast side, which you can see the cup size is that big, there. The other side is what we call the drug side, the slow side. That's the side we normally play on. And if the ice gets a wee bit sticky or anything else, we turn the handle over, and the running surface is on the keen side. There's less friction on the ice and it travels quicker.
July finally brings the first signs of winter.
Well, that looks like about 20 millimetres, and we need 100 millimetres, 5 times the amount that's here, to safely say that we've got a sheet of ice that we can hold a council match on. It's now July, and we haven't had a lot of frost. No snow on the hills to speak of. It's a very slow start to the winter, very disappointing. But that's the weather.
With less time spent worrying about the weather, indoor curlers could focus on developing the sport. This has meant a chance for New Zealanders to compete internationally.
It surprises a lot of other people because they think it's just a bunch of old fellas that head on onto the ice, throw around, sweep the ice a bit, don't really know what's going on, have a few drinks, you know.
A lot more people can sort of get into the sport. You don't have to sort of wait for the ice to sort of be right to play, which is great.
Well, it's taken the game of curling into a whole new dimension because, you know, we have the opportunity for international competitions. Our young people have got a great future in the sport, whereas before that it was regarded as something of a curiosity and a thing that happened once in a while, whereas the indoor game has turned the old sport into a world competition and Olympic sport.
A sudden cold snap signals that winter may finally have arrived. And Little Mount Ida, Nazeby's oldest curling dam, is transformed into a sheet of ice. Too small to hold the Baxter's Cup, it provides the perfect training ground as word in Naseby spreads that Jock's Pond is also not far away from holding ice. Even with the good ice, curling numbers here have dwindled.
Many years ago, you used to have to book 2 weeks in advance to use this ice. That was before this stuff was down here. And now, some years, this is never used. Like you come up here this afternoon, there'll be no one on it. There'll be no one on it tonight, there'll be no one on it tomorrow. And this good quality, real ice is going to waste. I've never curled in that indoor rink, and I'm never ever going to. But why go down there when this is here? And you can have so much fun up here. Look at the hut. A few beers. Smoke when you want. When we had to join the World Curling Federation, at our Naseby annual meeting, I said to Stuart Hoare that this is the beginning of the end of curling as we know it. And he wrote it in the minutes of our meeting. And they all said, no, it's not. You're all. And that's exactly what's happening. We're nearly at the end of it now, aren't we?
To uphold uphold the etiquette of the sport, outdoor curlers can only be initiated into the fold by going through a curler's court.
They've lost all that overseas. With the advent of the indoor game, the traditional curler's court has been forgotten, and it's a real shame because it's an experience that they'll never forget.
Nothing.
I can't tell you too much about it.
Oh, you'd have to go through yourself, I can't tell you.
Like going through a lodge or anything like that?
You may not divulge anything about the curler's court to a non-curler.
I'd have to kill you if I told you what went on in the initiation ceremony.
Most people get through pretty easy, but there's the odd one that never makes it.
I knew it couldn't be quite as bad as they said, but it was.
Yeah, I think I was a pretty naive sort of a curler then, because until you go through the court you don't know nothing really.
Because a curler's court may only be held after a grand match, like the Baxter's Cup, the community encourages Jock's resolve as he begins the final stage of pond preparation, building the ice.
Looking a bit soft, you reckon?
Well, it's not freezing all that hard.
With uncertainty around the coming weather, he must act quickly.
Well, we're going to get ready to mark the rinks for the Baxter Cup, hopefully.
The cold snap, though, is short-lived, and Jock's plans for a grand match have taken a turn for the worse.
Big melt. Horrendous melt. Like now, up there, the air temperature is 10. 10! For God's sake. But it's not as though it won't happen. All we need is a cold snap and some good settled weather. A big anti-cyclone move across the country and plant across us for, 4 or 5 days and we'll be away.
Even the ever-reliable little Mount Ida has lost its ice.
It's about a quarter of an inch thick at the moment, and that's all. It's melted in the last 2 days. It's disappeared again, so it's melting in my fingers and trying to slide away.
With the ice melted, the stones are now back in the shed, gathering dust.
Yeah, well, we've got to be as disappointed as anybody that doesn't happen. You live to make it happen. When it doesn't, you get so close. And it's disappointing that you just they've talked about June being the warmest June since records began, so that tells us a story. Been a very mild winter. And in fact, you could almost not call it a winter.
Despite Jock's efforts, the warm winter has destroyed the ice on his pond, and there will be no Baxter's Cup to celebrate. As if called, the biggest snowstorm in 30 years consumes the town. It came too late to save Jock's Pond, but still presented one last chance to curl on natural ice.
My cup's absolutely glorious.